Well, on the face of it, and that's how they called their summit in London 2 days ago, right? The Summit for Peace or the Peace Summit. But it's a very Orwellian. Why is it a very Orwellian, quasi-totalitarian expression? Because if you long for peace, you don't triple the amount of ammunitions and weapons which you send to one of the warring parties. So once again, why am I using that Bush-Cheney parallel? Because of ideologies, because ideas are more important than facts.
Yeah, but let me just interrupt you there. Bush and Cheney and Blair invaded Iraq. In this case, Russia invaded Ukraine. It's not quite the same, is it?
You are absolutely right. But this is the optical illusion. So basically, being invaded or invading, etc. So all these are false pretexts. Ukraine itself, you could say, is a false pretext, and Iraq itself was also a false pretext, because these people who came to the Middle East 23 years ago didn't care about Iraq, and those who are sending weapons to make the Ukraine-Russia war last longer don't really care about Ukraine. So they have grander ambitions.
Okay.
And this is where I disagree with my colleague. So you don't need to go to Vienna in the 19th century and speak about spheres of influence to have grander ambitions. But the problem is the grander ambitions of Britain and Europe are very different from Trump's. So the new government in Washington, D.C., they view the world completely differently. And I think that's why the Europeans and the Brits are in shock. Because to make a long story short, the ones in Washington, D.C., the Trump White House, they are extreme neo-realists. So they believe things, they view the world in a very simple way. They think there is a fifth industrial revolution pitting China against America. And in that new world, the accelerating techno-industrial race between Beijing and Washington, they need to be fiercely focused on China, and all the rest is pretty much a distraction. They believe that Russia is no longer a superpower. They believe that Russia is a pivot nation, and that pivot nation could be useful to America in that race against the Chinese, because they want to ensure Russia's neutrality. And I think it's very smart of them. And they don't care about what happens in Moldova or Lithuania.
Okay.
In London and Paris, their worldview is completely different.